Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod called the CrashHard Classic. And with this mod, we have 6 different options. As always, we're going to start off with the most basic of versions, which is called the Standard Edition. And with this vehicle, it is one of the few out there that is a pre-war vehicle in BeamNG.drive. In fact, the only other vehicle I can think of is outdated and it is not compatible with the latest version of the game. So if you want to drive a car from that era, this is pretty much the only option you got. Now that's the outside of the car, and if you want to look at the inside, well, that's a little bit difficult because there is no interior camera, but there is a somewhat decent interior setup if you actually look in here. So we're going to just manually bring the camera in here. Now you'll notice it's not a fully finished interior. You can see the engine is just right there, completely visible if you crouch down low enough. But it does have things like a working steering wheel and working gauges and stuff. It's just work in progress in interior, and I assume if the author ever finishes up the interior, they'll also add the interior camera. But the way it is right now, I'd be perfectly fine with the interior camera. It looks decent enough if you ask me. Anyways, back to the outside, and let's go ahead and drive this around for a little bit. One of the neat things about this car is the underside of it is so basic and simple that if you look, you can basically identify every component that's here, and the structure is so simple. It's not like you have all these pieces of metal going everywhere. Like, what does that metal do? No, it's just like a basic grid structure. But the neat thing about that is when you drive like this, you could really see the suspension doing its job. Like, to me, that's just really cool because this car is perfect for watching the suspension of a vehicle actually do what it's supposed to do and try to make a car a little bit smoother on these ugly dirt roads. Now, back to regular driving, you'll notice not that fast. It's a car from like 1930. It's not going to be fast, but it can crash at 50 miles per hour, no problem, unless you still want to drive afterwards, in which case that will be a problem because basically the whole front wheels have fallen off. The engine actually still works, so we might be able to back this thing out. Let's see. Oh yeah, obviously no steering whatsoever, but we can back it out. You know, from this angle, like right here, it almost looks like a big rig because the grill is so big. This thing has a big fat grill on it. Now with me having no steering and scraping the whole way, this thing's barely gonna move and it's not gonna go where we want it to. So let's just go ahead and take one final look at the damage before we reset it. And we are already going to move on to the next version of the vehicle. We're going to go with the Standard Tuned, which is very similar to one we were just driving, but it has about 200 horsepower, which makes it fun to drive. The regular Standard has almost 100, and it's just too slow to really enjoy driving it. This one with about 200 horsepower, you can enjoy driving this thing. You can get up to like 60 miles per hour, then hit a big fat ramp and fly in the air and completely ruin it in the trees. Then we turn it off and flip it back upright so we can take a look at the damage. And the reason you turn it off, by the way, is just so that way the engine doesn't have any sort of issues from being upside down, depending on how long it takes you to flip it upright. And in a situation like that with all the trees surrounding it, it could have took a minute. So back power on, and this thing should drive. It looks like everything's still connected and ready to go. Yep. We'll get out of all the bushes and stuff and really take a good look at the damage. So here we go. I kind of like the way it looks without the front fenders. It looks almost hot rodish on this side. This side still has the fenders, so it looks boring and lame. Overall, though, it held up surprisingly well for that impact. So we'll keep on driving it. Got a little jump we can do here, much smaller than the last one, but get a little air time. Oh, goodness. This suspension, it's not really the best with coping flying through the air. Like, every time you land with it, I've noticed, you're like, oh my goodness, am I going to spin out and die? Most of the time you do. That time I was lucky because it was a smaller jump, we didn't spin out and die. Same with sliding like this. Anytime you slide like that, you're like, oh my goodness, am I going to slide and die? You never quite know. One of the neat things about this car, though, and really pre-war cars in general, is they're usually much better at off-roading than you'd expect. And that's due to the fact that they have more ground clearance than a lot of modern cars would have, and they have really thin tires, which are great for kind of digging through the mud like this. Like, this thing breezed through there. Doesn't matter if you have 200 horsepower from the tuned or 100 horsepower from the regular. That was easy. We got to jump. Hit that jump. Oh, yes. Oh, no. You see, the problem here is my whole front suspension is falling off. That is supposed to be connected to the front of the car. You know, we could do that. It'd be kind of dumb. Let's just see if this will work. Okay, we're gonna do some emergency repairs right now. So we'll flip the car over. Right? Okay, that worked good. And then we're going to use the node grabber to stick this back where it should go. Is it like inverted where the left wheel's on the right? I don't know, but it doesn't really matter because I don't think we can steer anyways. So we just like connect that with the node grabber. And just like that, ta-da! We repaired it! Sort of. I think this actually will kind of work. Yeah, the wheels rotate, so we can put down power. Again, zero steering whatsoever, though. That's always great when the node grabber does something like that. And I just noticed the engine is overheating. I got a solution for that, okay? Check this out. We just turn the engine off, and we just drag the whole car with the node grabber up. That's not the whole car, that's just the seats. Fun fact, the seats can come out of the vehicle, which actually is very rare. Most cars, you cannot do something like that. So anyways, we're going to go over here with this guy, and we're going to bring him to the water. We're just dragging him through the air to cool him off because the coolant's overheating. This is obviously the best way to cool a vehicle. You know what would actually be interesting to look into is if there was a way you can make a mod that actually controls the temperature of the vehicle and stuff easily, like with a GUI element, so you could just say, yeah, make it where the car's overheating or make it where it's a good temperature. Like, that'd just be a really nice, convenient thing to have, and I'm actually surprised it's not like a built-in kind of interface thing. So anyways, yeah, it still drives, and it could keep on driving for a while. Again, no steering, though, which kind of sucks. So let's get some steering, and then let's try to conquer Container Land with a car that's almost 100 years old. And we are going to start by trying to climb the biggest hill I can see, which is this one right here. Now, we're not going to try to climb it from a standstill, because that's not going to work. We're going to first back it up a bit so we can get up this hill some to give us a little bit of momentum into the slope. So here we go, 20 miles per hour as we hit it, and this thing is cruising. I actually had to slow down a little bit to make sure it was smooth through there. That's how well it just did. That was impressive. All right, now let's try to jump. Here we go. How's the suspension cope? Oh, okay. It was better than I expected, to be honest with you. Although here, is it going to get stuck? Yeah, I think we're stuck, aren't we? Just a little bit. We just lost so much speed from the previous one, we didn't have a chance there. We gotta see if we can do this a little bit better. So we got a little bit better angle of attack, and woo! There is some flight and some damage. And yeah, the suspension's not supposed to do that usually. We have no steering once again. So we'll just give ourselves some steering. Obviously something like that, though, that'll break even a regular like off-road pickup truck if you hit it wrong like I was doing there. So let's try a jump that's a bit easier to do. This one's actually designed as a jump and not just a container that's buried in the dirt. And you see it did that pretty easily. And we still got momentum, so we're going to keep going for as long as we can. Oh, we are flopping all over the place. But as long as we're moving, we're doing good. It's only a matter of time until I crash this thing going this fast through there. That was way faster than you should have. I can't do anything better there at Container Land. So you know what? We are done at Container Land, and now we're going to go to the big flat road over here. And I mentioned earlier this would be great as a drag strip, so let's get a fast version of the vehicle. We have Death Trap and Wide Sport as the options for that. We're going to start with the Wide Sport because this is the much more reasonable version to use here. So looking at this thing, it does have like a wide body kit on it. Did you even know there was wide body kits for cars this old? And then the tires, they are thick. And this thing, it has well over 1,000 horsepower, so when you floor it, it does move. Sometimes the transmission just doesn't know exactly what to do because you're accelerating too fast. But once you get moving, you keep moving. We're almost up to 150 miles per hour already. And then here comes a big impact, and woohoo! That was a nice one. Okay, I know you guys want to see that again in slow motion because I want to see that again with some slow motion. And as we accelerate, I really start to think, what a strange color for a drag car. This is just a really abnormal color for a car that's this fast. Anyways, we're almost up to 150 miles per hour, which means we are going to be crashing very, very soon. And this is going to be one of those crashes that's really fast. So we're going to use 100 times slow-mo and disconnect the camera because I'm sure it'd be really jittery if we didn't. So here we go, and it's just disintegrating. It's disintegrating into nothing. And then you got the pieces flying all over the place. You see one of the wheels look like it just went through the wall somehow. I don't know if it went around it or what. You got pieces flying everywhere. Put your 3D glasses on for this one. Whoa! 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 Pieces flying at me. I'm dodging them. You got some pieces all just flying all over the place. Some of them behind us. I don't see any, but I know they're around there. Where'd you go, guys? And then you got the car itself, which is basically a cube at this point. It's just a metal cube. And let's go ahead and take a look at the other version that has over 1,000 horsepower. This one is the Death Trap. And with this one, you basically take the same engine as this one has, and you put it in a stock version, and then you remove some of the body panels. So it still has these really, really thin wheels. And it's going to try to put down over 1,000 horsepower with those wheels. Ha! You're joking. You just get wheel spin for days. If you want to actually control this thing, you can't just floor it all the time like I'm trying to do now. You need to be very careful with your throttle. And then once you feel like you can accelerate fully, then you actually can get going. Also, kind of the same idea with the brakes. If you just slam on the brakes, you're going to just lock everything up. And braking with this thing, not that great. So this thing truly is a death trap. It accelerates fast, it doesn't handle that well, and it brakes pretty terribly by modern car standards. So really terrible car to drive unless you just want to go fast in a straight line for a few seconds before you crash, which is basically what we used it for. Now we're just trying to drive through this really bumpy road, and we're flowing it the whole way, which means we're just gonna like spin and slide all over the place. This thing is complete chaos to drive, and I have no idea what to actually do with this thing besides just drive in circles basically, because I have so little control over it. Also, one of the tires is like popped or something, so that definitely makes things even worse. Let's go to another version that we can control. So you have two versions left. We have the standard sport and the cabriolet tuned. We're gonna look at the cabriolet tuned first, which is just the same as the tuned, except it's a nice convertible. I actually really like the way this car looks as a convertible. That's one of the funny things about old cars like this. Like, for some reason, a car from the 1920s and the 1930s and probably even 40s and somewhat 50s, they can totally pull off having a convertible version of a normal vehicle, and it looks good. Like, this convertible looks better than the regular version, but modern cars, they just can't do it. Almost every time you have a car that's a convertible and a regular version, the regular version looks better. There are very few exceptions out there for modern vehicles. So anyways, drivability wise, this one feels exactly the same as the other version. It might technically be a little bit more floppy and wobbly because it doesn't have the extra structure of the roof, but it's not big enough for me to actually notice a difference. But you will notice a difference here when you crush the top of the vehicle. In a situation like that, you would normally have a crushed roof. On this one, you only crush your windscreen. Is that a good or a bad thing? Well, if you care about the driver, it's definitely a bad thing because they would have been crushed. If you care about the way the car looks, well, after rolling over, it still doesn't look that bad, all things considered, because you don't have a crushed-in roof. You just have a messed up windscreen. And we have really actually lost a ton of body panels from that. All of the fenders are gone, the running board is gone, I think a piece of the front grille might be gone. We only have the bare essentials still attached, like the door, the windscreen, and then half of the hood and the trunk. That's about all that's still attached to this thing. So how about we go for another jump and make some more pieces fly off? I just saw a mirror fly off, so that piece is gone. The trunk is just launched off over to the side, so there's another piece gone. Looks like we still have a piece of the grill here, and the bumpers are still attached, but they feel like they're pretty firmly attached most of the time, and the only way you're actually gonna get them to fall off is if you pull at them. From the front impacts and stuff, you're not gonna usually have a vehicle that still drives with the bumper attached in my experience. Usually if you do a crash hard enough to have the bumper hit and fall off, it's also gonna destroy the car. And I am honestly so impressed right now with the fact that this thing is still managing to drive somehow. I can't see it anymore because there's a bush in the way and we hit a bump weirdly, but this thing is still driving. It's doing a little smoke screen, and the engine is probably dying on me if it's smoking that much, but it's not quitting. But if you just look at this thing, and look at how damaged it looks. It does not look like it should drive at all. In fact, we even have some frame bending going on here. You can tell the frame is not flat and straight like it should be. Yep, not quitting. Unbelievable dedication by this thing. We're gonna do the big corner. How fast can it go? It can still accelerate great. We're up to 60 miles per hour already. It's definitely slower than it would normally be, but it's drivable. It feels like the normal version with only 100 horsepower at this point. And I did just see the head gasket damaged, so that means its time is really limited. The coolant is also overheating. Everything is going wrong right now, and we have really bent the frame, yet somehow it lives. It will not be stopped. The frame is scraping everywhere we go, but it is not stopping. I love this thing. The convertible is unstoppable for some reason. I don't know how this thing has done this. Oh, no. Okay, well, it was unstoppable, but now it's dead. That was really impressive. I am just shocked at how long that thing lasted and how completely ruined we managed to make it. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at the final version. This one is the standard sport, and this is kind of like a modernized version of the one we were just driving. It has a little bit more power. It has just over 200 horsepower, but it has regular wheels on it, so it actually has good grip with that power, and it doesn't have that weird thing where the transmission doesn't exactly know what to do because the wheels don't have enough grip. This one drives a lot more like a modern vehicle. But when you really try to get into a corner or do some really intense driving, you can tell still that this thing has a very basic suspension setup, and the chassis is not nearly as stiff as a modern vehicle would be, so it doesn't handle as well, but it's definitely the closest feeling to a modern vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and do another round on the big corner because I love this corner. This corner is so cool with the massive bank. There are not enough banked corners in this game. That's the problem. They need to just have an official oval with big, fat banks. Because they got 3 different racetracks and they're all road tracks. Where are my ovals, man? Ooh, well, that was a good crash. That is the official way to remove the engine for this vehicle if you're going to do repairs on it, though. So I'm just following the manual. Yeah, things were different in the 30s, man. Let's try to find that engine. I don't even know which direction it went. I'm going to go look at where we crashed. Oh, there it is. Don't you hate it when you just drop your engine behind? You're like, where did it go? Ah, there it is. So if you want to see what the engine looks like, there you go. That's what the engine looks like. That is the easiest way to get a view of it. Just tear it directly out of the vehicle. And of course, you have other parts scattered all over the place because that crash has really made a mess of things. Here's a fun idea. We are going to crash this guy into a more modern vehicle and see how the damage between the two compares. First, we just got to get some distance between us. So I'm just going to drive to the end of the straightaway here. Then I'll tell the AI to come get me and we will have a nice little crash. Although, I don't know if I trust the AI. Like, that's the problem. You never know if you can trust the AI to drive in the correct direction or not. So that should be a good spot to do a little spin around maneuver. Stop right there. And I'll go ahead and drive this car and tell the AI to come at me. And hopefully they just drive straight ahead and don't do anything dumb. As long as they do that, we will have an excellent crash going about maybe an average speed of 60 between the two vehicles. So that should be some pretty decent damage. And where's the AI? AI, what are you doing? I legitimately have no idea what the AI is doing right now. Like, I'm pretty sure I hit chase, didn't I? Somebody rewind this video and make sure I hit chase and not run away because the AI is not trying to chase me at all. It looks like they're trying to run away from me. Seriously, what the heck? This is the best way to chase me that you can come up with, huh, AI? Okay, I don't know if they spun out or if they're trying to do a 180 to try to get me, but either way, I got them instead. Not a good crash, though. Tell you what, I'm going to go to a different area where hopefully the AI won't be so stupid. A place where there's not as many alternative paths for them to go down and make everything ruined. We're going to head over to Hirochi Raceway, and we're just going to go straight at the starting line. That's a nice big straightaway where it's hard for the AI to mess things up. And we'll use pretty much the same cars as before. We're going to grab a Charrier still, but I don't remember which one I picked last time, so let's just grab a random tow rack. That should be fine. And then for the CrashHard Classic, we're going to use the Standard Sport once again, just because I like the way it handles the most, and it has the most power without getting absurd. And then I'm just going to position these guys in opposite ends of this straightaway. Actually, I'll put them a little bit around the corner. I just got to hope the AI doesn't mess this up. I'll even line them up in the correct direction, so hopefully they can't mess it up. And for my car, well, it's going to be pointed the wrong way no matter what I do. So we'll just go ahead and bring it all the way over to a little bit past the corner. And then I don't have to do anything extra to get it going in the right direction. So I'll tell the AI to go ahead and chase me. And I am 100% certain that I hit chase. If the AI is not chasing me, that is just them being unbelievably stupid. So are they smarter than a walnut? Let's find out. They are. They went the correct direction. Thank goodness. So I'm going about 67 miles per hour on impact. They're going to be going about 10 miles per hour more. They're going 74 miles per hour. So here we go. Impact is coming. Freeze it. Get the best possible camera angle we can. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then go. Bam! There's the impact. And you can really see it looked a lot more intense on the Classic. Like that thing, the whole area where the passengers was, it really kind of dipped down a bit. Where this one, the passenger area is all mostly intact, and it didn't look like it had nearly of a violent motion because it crumpled more maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining that because that's what I expect to see in a real life collision, but let's look at the actual damage here. You can see the doors on this one, even the rear doors a little bit, are mangled up. Then you look here, there is some damage on the front door, but the rear door looks perfect. So as you'd expect, the modern car does appear to be safer in a collision. Although if I'm being completely honest here, I would expect even more damage on a car this old. I have no idea if that's correct or not, but that's just what I would expect. And here's a fun fact that I didn't know until just now. That one has a glove box that'll open up if you crash hard enough. I did not know that. I don't think I've ever seen that before. That is nifty. So there's a final look at the damage between these two. And then we're going to finish this up with the classics. They're going to take the classic to the classics, starting with Brutal Slope. And for here, I'm really debating. Do I want to use the Death Trap or do I want to use the Wide Sport? I'm thinking Wide Sport, just because I want to be able to actually use my power immediately, and I think that'll get us going faster, although less rolling resistance on the Death Trap means maybe it'll go faster. It's really, really hard to know for certain, but I'm just using this thing because it also looks cool and you got more body panels to fly all over the place. So here we go, flooring it. The engine is just over revving so hard because the transmission is so slow and sluggish to shift. There we go, over 200 miles per hour-ish. There we are. And we are completely topped out, so the engine's not doing anything besides preparing to blow up before the impact. It's actually staying together for a lot longer than I expected. So here we go, 255 miles per hour. We're going so fast, we actually have pieces of the car falling off from the pure speed of it. That's how fast we are going right now. So here we go, impact. And actually, we can zoom in a little bit more, get a real nice angle on this thing. There we are. Bam! It is disintegrating. You know what's funny is when we're going only 150 miles per hour, we crashed and then the pieces kind of flew off in the distance. This one, we're just going so fast, it just smashes into the wall and it stays there, it looks like. You know, speed it up to 16 times slow-mo. Yeah, like we don't have the beautiful, oh, we got something going on here. What's going on with the sky? But that was really weird. So yeah, we have some pieces kind of bouncing off, but it's not like, oh, it's beautiful. Okay, well. All right, there is the infinity. Look at how fast we're going. We are going infinity miles per hour. We are really moving now, guys. All right, let's finish this up. Hopefully with something a little less chaotic with a leap of death run. And once again here, we're going to use the exact same version, although maybe we'll give it a little bit of color because I am not digging that color. It's too fast to have a color that boring. So now we got a nice bright yellow. I guess colors don't work. I'm not somebody who actually tests that usually, but does that mean colors just don't work on this thing, or did I just pick a color not right? Oh, there we go. So it's just the yellow isn't as yellow as I was expecting. There we go. Now it's a yellow vehicle. Okay. And we are still in slow-mo. So take it easy and then flooring it. Got a decent amount of traction through here, hitting about 75 miles per hour at the jump, and this thing is flying beautiful. Look how level this thing is flying, so level for so long before it finally started to kick backwards a little bit. That was beautiful, and then here comes impact. There's the frame of the vehicle. Everything else is, well, it's over there and over there. It's just flying off into space. That truly is a one impact vehicle, because it hit once and it completely disintegrated and then it got to the water. And just out of curiosity, let's see what the Death Trap does too, because I wonder if the thin tires really make a difference when you're on a terrain like this. I'm thinking the speed should be close at the end of the jump. So here we go, flooring it hard, and oh, you can tell the suspension here is not nearly as nice as the other one, but we are up and into the air at about the same speed. It looked like it was about 75 miles per hour or so, so it really didn't matter which one I chose, except the other one had a lot more body panels to fly all over the place. We will go ahead and do a lot of slow-mo on this impact. I really want to see this thing exploding. So we're going 100 times slow-mo, and it's going to hit eventually. It's just kind of like cruising across. Here it comes. Wheel is making contact. Rear wheel is making contact, and there is everything else. That's actually a pretty gentle hit, all things considered, and it's going to look much more intact than last time. So 16 times slow-mo it for the rest of the way. And there go the chairs. I love having the chairs fly out of this thing. That to me is just kind of hilarious because you never see that normally. Normally the chairs are completely embedded in the vehicle and they are staying there. This one says, nope, chairs can fly. Oh, there goes the big crash. And ew, no, not again. Are we okay? Can we make it? Nope. It's, well, okay then. We are still apparently going infinity miles per hour once more. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Until next time, this is WhyBeAre. And remember, if you like or dislike this video, I will know. I can tell by how old the car is. And it's very old. So do the right thing, and I'll see you next time.